Hey, what's up, YouTube? Smoke Bandits here, and we have a deck profile featuring Mimighoul from the round one feature match of the NAWCQ. We'll talk about how we approach this deck, the card by card, and some combos. Presenting this deck, we have the pilot himself, Dino. Why don't you talk a bit about how we played this deck? Because there are a few different ways to play this strategy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So we built this deck through our testing. We decided that this deck was best served as a control deck to control the pace of the duel and to limit our opponent's interactions, not just with our board, but with their own boards. So there's a cool lock that we use with Room and Dungeon. We use IP to link off with on our opponent's turn when they give us our bodies back, and we're playing the cache engine, a small cache engine that helps us get into these locks. And we have a cool lock with Room and Dungeon that Nightmare Griffin really helps out with. But I'll go ahead and get into the list now. So starting off with 3 Mimighoul Dragon. This is our best starter. It's a Regeki on their side of the field, but mostly we want it for its spell and trap search to get us whichever one of those that we're missing. Then we play 3 Archfiend. Archfiend is normally the best one that we want to give to the opponent. We're playing 1 Cerberus. We need one of these in here. Thought about cutting it, but it's important to have this body so that we can resolve Maker. And then lastly, for a Mimighoul lineup, we're playing 2 Master. We're thinking about cutting it to 1 in the future. Even though this is the boss monster of the deck right now, it's not that good. If the effect let us flip anytime during our opponent's turn, or just anytime at all as a quick effect, that would be a lot more useful. But a lot of the time it's just sitting there as a body or like a 3000 beat stick. The prevention from destruction does come in clutch, though. We do have some people crash into it, so that's cool. That's all the Mimighoul monsters, so we'll move on to our spell and traps in our engine. So we're playing 4 dungeon, the 3 dungeon, 1 terraforming.
Best
This
card.
best card here. This has a bunch of effects that we won't get into too much detail with, but pretty much if you're, or either player, if they have a face down monster, they're not able to special summon. So if you use that with the 3 room that we play, let's say you give them a monster, they flip it up so that their normal summon is open. You flip room, you give them a monster that they're not able to flip, and all they can do is special summon. So they're pretty much locked out of their normal. That's really good, especially in this format with Snake Eye, where they almost always want to start with normal summon Snake Eye Ash, right? And then the last of the Mimighoul engine are 2 Maker. We went back and forth between 1, 2, and 3 with this card. It's a really good card, but we found that we run out of targets pretty quickly. So we make sure to, in order to keep it live, we use Dungeon to search, to keep adding back from Graveyard, just so we make sure that we have enough targets in deck. So that's all for the Mimighoul cards. Moving on, here's our small cache package. We played 2 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Birth. I guess through our testing and through some advice that we got from some other high level players, they suggested 2 Fenrir over 2 Unicorn. In the future, we're probably going to move to either 2 or 3 Unicorn, maybe even cutting the Fenrirs. Unicorn is just so much better on the opponent's, or I guess on your own turn. Fenrir is better on your opponent's turn. Unicorn's great on your turn. So quick little combo here. So summon Unicorn, right? You can give them whatever. Let's just say a dragon, right? Normal summon Archfiend. You flip up the dragon. It makes Unicorn live. So on your turn going first, you're able to see their extra deck, rip a card, and know what you're playing
Yeah.
against.
Ripper
Uh,
Requiem, that's super clutch. Also with the Fenrir, we thought about adding that because a way they can out the lock is by special summoning, and usually when an opponent special summons a monster, they activate that effect. And if they do that, we can use Fenrir to then banish that monster and preserve the lock.
yeah, so Unicorn's a lot better looking sometimes. I didn't see it much throughout the tournament. I opened with Fenrir on the feature match. got Valored, but kind of wish it could have been a unicorn also. Moving on to our non-engine, so some consistency. We played 2 Prosperity. This is really good for searching whatever piece you're missing. We don't really have 1-card combos in here, but a lot of 2 or 3-card combos, a lot of different things that you can do depending on how many different pieces you have. It's a real flexible deck. Whether you have Maker, Archfiend, Dragon, Dungeon, a lot of the time you want to Room is really important. You want to try to get to Room, and that's why we played 2 Thrust. Thrust is really, really good. It'll search you Maker. Thrust is also live on their turn. All you have to do is activate the hand effect, give them the body. Thrust is live, and you can search whatever you're missing, whether you're searching your Room for follow-up on your opponent's turn, or if you need to go into talents to either draw, rip from their hand. These were just really good cards. I think this is the correct ratio for these 5. Then for our hand traps here, more non-engine, played 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Droll. So our idea around Droll was that it could kind of act as a blowout card. I don't think it came up too often, especially when you're playing against Snake Eyes, unless you're able to Droll them on the Poplar ad. There's Droll just, it's not as good as we thought it was going to be. And it also conflicts with the MVP of the deck here, which is we are able to play Dimension Shifter. Pretty much anytime we see this card, we win. We're able to set up so much advantage and interact with our opponent. Lots of times you drop the shifter and your opponent doesn't give you any interactions. It'll act as a turn skip. But because you're able to give them bodies, it turns your Thrust live. Especially with the cash package, you're able to do a lot. And then our honorary Mimighoul is, we played 1 Mag. Mag is great because you can actually search Dragon, and did come up once in the tournament where I shiftered. I was able to Mag. I had 2 shifter in my hand, and it was just an auto concession, so that felt real good. And the last card, I almost want to consider this an engine card, is There Can Be Only One. This is great because pretty much all of your monsters here, you got Fiends, Dragon, Zombie, what am I missing? Cerberus, Beast,
and
Psychic.
then
Psychic for the cash. So you're always sitting pretty when you have Tikaboo on the field. Only time it really conflicts is if you normal summon a dragon, you give them a dragon, they flip it back up, you lose the body. But that's why we like to link these bodies away for our follow-up. So I'll get into the extra deck. Brandon, anything you want to say that I missed on the main deck?
No, I don't think you missed anything there. We can move on.
Okay, so moving on to the extra deck, we played 1 Anima. That's our only link 1. Anima is, great. You can force them to, it'll bait out a Imperm, Valor, something like that, and you're also able to, classic, use it in order to move up into SP and get the banish off. We played 2 IP. So like I said at the beginning of the video, IP, we decided to play at 2 because a lot of the time, this is one of our boss monsters, right? You'll be able to get 2 bodies. You make an IP, and there have been times, I think I even did this on stream, and it kind of came back to bite me because opponent didn't do what I was hoping to. You just end on IP, but let's say you gave them 2 or 3 bodies. They have to flip them to get them back to you if you have your dungeon up, right? If they're trying to normal. So IP, you automatically have a link 3 as long as they have 1 body. So they give you 1 body, easy SP. If they give you more, especially at least 2, you can go into Griffin, which we'll talk about the lock a little bit more later. 1 Silhouette Rabbit. This is such a good card. Brandon didn't want to play the list, play the rabbit. We played the exact same list, but through some more testing, this comes up so clutch with the trap that we're playing in the side. Then the rest of the link twos, of course, mandatory SP and one dark. Normally we would make dark using linking off one of the level ones into anima, and then we could go into dark with anima as our dark target. We played.
Yeah, quick thing on the rabbit. I didn't want to play the trap because it conflicts with shifter.
That's
That's
right.
the only reason. But I still think it's worth playing.
Cool interaction with rabbit for those of you that don't know. When you summon the trap out, you get a pop onto the spell or trap also. So if they play something like Nightmare Pain, right, have to play it first, you can summon it out, pop the trap, and stop them from some follow up. So link threes, we played one unicorn. We went back and forth on this, but we wanted a good link three for access code, pretty much to get as much of the attack boost as we could. Oh, I forgot about Phoenix. Also, I had this out of order. So Phoenix, just great card overall. Also, especially if you're able to get the co-link and draw a card, and it's
Yeah, there's a
also
lot of sorry. There's a lot of good stuff link in here because we don't really have any extra deck monsters, so we just decided to play it as this link package instead of there's the UDF with the ghost tricks. We didn't want to do that. There's some funny things you can do with Winda, Shit All Construct, but we decided that the link package was the best option for us competitively.
yeah, something real important about Phoenix also is that it gives you another attribute for access code, because if you look through this over here, I think we have dark, 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 and one light from the rabbit. So good to have an extra attribute.
Yeah, access code's important in this deck because it's very difficult to OTK. It's nigh impossible to OTK in this deck. So you have to be careful and really over the course of a couple turns, a few turns, like gain the resources, the attributes engrave in order to finally go for that full push.
So moving on to our link fours, these are kind of our OTK or big damage push monsters. So we played one access code, one Zelantis. What's cool about Zelantis is that if they're refusing to flip up your monsters, you can, if you're able to climb your way into Zelantis, you just grab all of your monsters back, summon them out. The unfortunate part is only Dragon and Cerberus actually have attack because Archfiend's at 0, and they're only 4 and 500. But you're able to link off more and make some more plays. Pretty much just you're able to grab your bodies back, so you don't have to attack into them if your opponent is refusing to flip them. And then our last link for sneaky MVP, Nightmare Griffin. We'll get into this a little bit more, but if you're able to set up the lock, that will show you all in a bit. This is such a good card. Funny little story also with Griffin. For those of you that were trying to register late at night, the only reason I found this card was because the website wouldn't load for us to be able to submit our list, and I was like, hold up, this kind of seems crazy. And Brandon came up with the lock within like 20 or 30 minutes as we were still waiting for the site to load. So this is a great addition. And the last link body, we played one Underworld Goddess. As you saw in my feature, you're able to get tons of bodies back, and this lets you get rid of a problem body. My first iteration of the list, I was playing the Baby Goddess also, but it's not as good of a card because you have to activate it. So you can link off 2 of their bodies, but it has to be on your turn versus IP. IP lets Underworld Goddess be live. And then for RXCs, we played the small Lyrilusk, Downard, and Zeus package here. Really good. Again, those of you that watched the feature kind of misplayed a little bit. I have a bad habit of saying, yeah, as soon as the opponent asks for a response. So should have chained that. This is just great. You're able to attack directly with Nightingale and then have a 2 material Zeus. That's all for the extra deck. Brandon, anything you have to add?
No, I don't think so. Move on.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the side then. We played a couple of Bestials, one Baldrake, one Druis Worm. A lot of lists were playing a lot of Bestials. These are just really good cards, and especially since we already had Mag in the main, nice to be able to search these out. For our thrust targets, we played triple evenly, 2D barrier, and 2 dark ruler. Triple evenly because that's a little bit harder to search with thrust if you're committing a body to the board to have them interact with. But we thought that these were good ratios. Always great to see evenly when it comes up. And then, since everybody hates Runic Stun, 3 Cosmic, and another MVP of the deck, our boss spell here, Dimensional Fissure. Pretty much, again, if we saw Shifter or we saw this, sitting pretty easy match. And then the last card in our side was the 1 Angel Statue Azure Rune. So again, how we said with the Silahat Rabbit, real good. This is like acts as a strike, negates inherent summons. So Witch, Engraver. No, did I lie with?
And it works under Fissure too.
Yeah, this works with Fissure. That's one thing that we were a little scared about, that it didn't work under Shifter, but because it is still treated as a trap when it is summoned into the monster zone, you can still tribute it under Defissure. So that's our full list.
Yep.
I guess right here what we can do, last part of the video, is just show off the Griffin combo. So I'll go ahead and let Brandon narrate this, and I'll pull the cards out.
All right, so for this combo, we're going to show you what you can do with IP into Griffin. So what we have here is we have the lock set up with Dungeon, and we have a set room. We have IP with Unicorn, and then we've set Archfiend to their side of the field. So in order for them to normal summon, they're going to have to flip that Archfiend. So what they're going to do is they're going to flip it, we're going to draw, they're going to discard, and then they give us Archfiend. Boom. Now, we on resolution, we need to get them back under the lock, so we activate room. We will special summon to their side of the field one of our Mimighouls. Let's just say Dragon. Let's just say Dragon. Put it right over the EMZ, and then on res of that, activate IP, linking off all 3 bodies going into Griffin. You're going to discard one of your cards, maybe the one you just drew, in order to reset that room. And now the lock is there, and they can't activate monsters special summoned on the field because you just blocked the zone that Griffin points to. And you have your room reset, so next turn you can non-target book, special to their field, special to your own field. It just sets it right back up for you. Yeah, whenever we pull this off, we pretty much win.
Such a good versatile play. Yeah. Nothing else special to add to it. Brandon, any last thoughts?
No, we could show more combos, but the thing about this deck is there are a lot of 2-3 card combos. It's sort of free flowing. But the idea is you want to get your bodies on board, make sure you have Dungeon plus Room. Get those in your hand before you even see Maker. Get that lock up, then you can start linking off bodies for IP. Maybe you see Unicorn, so you can bring Unicorn back with Birth. So that's Unicorn effect, that's Birth effect, as well as another body for IP. And then you can just keep resetting your lock, gain resources, make sure your opponent loses resources, and over the course of some turns, you'll eventually win. They will scoop, or you can finally make that OTK push.
Yeah, I think this deck has a lot of potential. This is kind of crazy for a TCG exclusive and first wave of support. thank you everybody so much for watching. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for requesting this profile. I had a lot of fun on the feature match. Wish I could have pulled it off. Yeah, that's all I have. Smoke Bandits signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.